ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So namaste again. We'll just pick up where we left off. Share my screen. And Satish, would you like to volunteer reading today?
Sure, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, just a moment. Yeah, I think the screen should be visible.
1 second. Can, yeah. So, yeah. Giving the teacher the benefit of the doubt. If it looks as though the teacher is being contradictory, the student gives the benefit of the doubt to the teacher. This is what is expected of a student. As a student, one need to take the blame upon oneself. One need not take, sorry, one need not take the blame upon oneself. The teacher can be asked the question, previously such and such was said, and now this is being said. Why is this difference? You said Brahman is without qualities, Nirguna, and now you say it is with qualities, Saguna. How can Brahman be Saguna? You say it is beyond the mind and that is not available as an object for the mind. At the same time, you say one sees oneself, the Atma with the mind, manasa pasyati. How can one see the Atma with the mind? And how is one going to know that one is seeing the Atma? It looks as though the Shruti herself is contradictory. To say that Brahman cannot be objectified by the mind but has to be recognized by the mind seems to be a contradiction. But it is not a contradiction, it is perfect. If it looks like a contradiction to the student, then he or she can ask a question, a prashna, and when the student waits for the right time to ask a question, it is called a pariprashna, based on his or her faith, shraddha in the teacher.
Okay, I'll just add some commentary here a little bit. So this is very important. The attitude I think we've discussed this numerous times, but I'll just highlight a few other points. One of the qualifications that really qualifies a Shishya is the ability to understand the material and also be honest and forthright to ask a question when the material is not understood well. So this is something where being silent is not a very good idea if something is unclear, because when the foundation itself is not robust, then any structure that is built on top of that foundation is going to in short order start to collapse. So one Swamiji also mentioned that we talk about the sadhana chatushtaya, the different qualifications, viveka, vairagya, all of these things, but this pariprashna, the inquisitiveness to ask a question and delve a little deeper into the topic and analyze the contents of one's own mind and mental models, um, which form the basis of everything that we study going forward, is it's a very important thing. And the only reason a person would ask a question to the teacher is if they have some sense that the teacher has the ability to put my queries to rest. So that is where the Shraddha element comes in, because the Shraddha implies that, okay, any sense of contradiction that I have, that I've imposed upon the Shastra, is purely a defect in my own understanding. Shruti is perfect. Shruti Mata, the Vedas, have no contradictions. If the contradiction exists, it is because the Vedas have not been understood. That is the attitude and that is the approach of the student. And also, this Shraddha is not only to be extended to the Vedas, but even the sense that, oh, what my teacher is saying, okay, let's assume the Vedas are perfect, but what my teacher is saying is contradictory. and therefore the teacher may or may not have completely understood the subject matter. That itself is ashraddha, which is, a lack of shraddha in this regard. And a lack of shraddha does not benefit the student, because without shraddha, one is not a student to begin with. The Shishyatvam is a title, it's a label, it's a relationship. It's what defines a student. If the Shishyatvam is not there, then there is no guru. The guru and the Shishya are born simultaneously. When the guru comes, the Shishya also comes. In fact, the Shishya comes and then the guru comes just a split second later, once the Shishyatvam has been accepted. But first, one has to establish oneself as a Shishya, present oneself before the guru, and then that samvada can take place. So that is the basis of pariprashna. If you would like to proceed, or any questions before you proceed, good. You're on mute.
The attitude implied by the term Guru Sishya Samvada is especially relevant here. Since the entire teaching is itself a means of knowledge, it is not a philosophical speculation. Moreover, we are not
Sorry,
attracted to
sorry,
this.
Satish ji, I think we missed this paragraph.
Oh, sorry.
You missed one paragraph.
Yeah, sure. Um, as a teacher, one cannot contradict oneself. A teacher who contradicts himself or herself does not know the subject matter. Nor can a teacher simply learn along with a student and teach, since this creates situations wherein both the teacher and the student may suddenly discover a new fact never known to either of them before, a fact that contradicts everything they knew thus far. This is not why one goes to a teacher. Teaching is not meant to be exploratory. Therefore, the teacher should know exactly what he or she is talking about and not be contradictory. The attitude implied by the term Guru Sishya Samvada is especially relevant here. Since the entire teaching is itself a means of knowledge, it is not a philosophical speculation. Moreover, we are not attracted to this kind of learning out of a simple academic interest. The teaching has a value, and the value is myself alone. The teaching is about myself. I have a value for freedom, and this value makes me want to know. As a person, I want to be free and I want to learn for no other purpose than to be free. Since there is a value there and the teaching itself is a means of knowledge, there must necessarily be a certain attitude on my part towards this teaching and the teacher.
So we can just take a brief pause here. This is also, again, everything that Puja Swamiji says. If you see it, Swamiji takes great pains not only to teach the content, but also to present the manner in which this content is to be grasped by a student. I think this is exceptional on Puja Swamiji's part, and what he's done is he's really forged a new, not a new, but I would say he's resuscitated an approach which had more or less been lost in recent times, and just to bring back what the pedagogy is. I've often stressed, and it's worth stressing again, that what matters when we study Vedanta is not only the content, but also how that content is assimilated. So here again, the term teacher, the term guru, and all of these things are sometimes so misused. Currently, I was having a nice little discussion with some folks online about the use of the term guru. The word guru has been misappropriated, because today, is anyone a student of physics, or has anybody studied engineering or something along those lines, the sciences? Some of you have. So you know that when you use a certain term in physics, for instance, or if you use a certain term in mathematics, there is a preciseness associated with it. You can't be fast and loose about terms. A term is precise. Suppose you say energy, then you can't use it loosely, that, oh, I'm sensing some negative energy over here. No, energy is energy, right? Work is work, matter is matter, light is light, a photon is a photon. One can't misdefine or falsely define or wrongly define or loosely define a term. One has to be very precise. Likewise in mathematics, there's something called mathematical set, you have a null set, you have this set, whatever. There are very distinct operators that one has to keep in mind, and logical operators also, when we speak in terms of logic. So when we talk about the term guru, let's take any term. If it's a neologism is a new word which somebody has concocted. Like, even in Sanskrit, there are neologisms like this air conditioning. I was in school, I was very, found it hard to pronounce. Vatanukulit or something, it's called Vatanukulit. So it's a new term because there were no air conditioners in the Vedic times. It's a new term that was created based on an understanding of the Sanskrit dhatus and whatnot. So, TK, one can come up with a new term, but if we have an existing term, you can't mess around with it. So, the word guru is an existing term. Where does the word guru come from? It comes from the Vedas. It doesn't come from some random book somewhere. It comes from the Vedas, from Shruti Mata herself. And then what does the Veda define the guru as? The Veda defines the guru as a Brahma Shotriya and Brahmanishta. Those are the two qualifications to be a guru. So then somebody may say that, oh, I am a stock market guru, and I'm a mantra guru, and I'm a love guru, and I'm a this guru, I'm a that guru, I'm a finance guru. There are all so-called gurus who roam about and who sometimes classify themselves as one or somebody else calls them one. But this is all nonsensical. In fact, even if we go to our dharmic traditions, and this may be a little offensive to those who don't follow the sampradaya, and I know that people have been offended in the past. But the fact of the matter is that only a person who is a Brahma Shrotriya at minimum, Brahmanishta also wonderful, at least a Brahma Shrotriya, a person who is capable of fully, completely, being able to see the vision of the Shastra in one singular vision without any fragments, without any doubt, without any confusion, and has the precise ability to teach it to a Shishya. This person who is the knower of the Sampradaya, who is a Sampradaya with, that person alone is capable of being called a guru because the guru, is the one who removes Atma Vidya. The guru is one who removes Atma Vidya. There is no other kind of person that one can call a guru. There is no Sangeet guru, there is no Bharatnatyam guru, there is no dance guru, there is no music guru, there is no other guru. Okay, they are all teachers, they are adhyapakas, they are acharyas, they are upadhyayas. There are different terms one can use, respectful terms. Guru means only one who gives self-knowledge by removing Atma Vidya. So that preciseness has to be there in definitions. One can't mess around with it. Second point is that, and this is why, like in the past, let's say some folks may have reached out to me that, "Oh, Prashant, you're my teacher," or what. No, can't be. Impossible. The reason I can't be a teacher is because I'm also learning. And I also have these aha moments as I study together with the rest of you all. And therefore, I am in no position to teach because I don't know the full content. I'm learning. Maybe I know a little bit extra here and there, but that's about it. I can see myself as a mentor, but to be a teacher, to be a guru specifically here in this context, is a very high qualification. And it's something that, one cannot easily take to. Now, what qualifies one as a guru? We spoke about that. But then the guru also has a guru. And only when a guru tells their student that now you are capable of being a teacher, then one can, on their own independently form a guru shishya sambandha with their own respective students. So the guru has to permit the shishya before they can even become a guru. That is also very important because today, if you give your examination, the examiner has to give you the passing marks to move on to the next level. And so here the next level is to teach. And teaching is a great responsibility because when I teach, not only am I responsible for a particular individual with whom I'm conversing, with whom I'm having a samvadaha, but I'm also responsible for preserving the entire lineage that I'm carrying on my shoulders. And it's a great weight. It's not a light weight. It's a very great, heavy responsibility that comes with being a guru. And the guru takes full responsibility for the shishya, and the guru will not rest until the Shishya's avidya has been completely eliminated, provided the Shishya presents themselves as a Shishya before the Guru. This Panitam that's complete. That I've offered myself, I've offered my Shishyatvam to you. Everything else I leave at the door. My Gamanda, my Ahankara, all of these things I leave at the doorstep. I come to you as I am to know who I am. So the Guru takes our responsibility, but the Guru, very very specific term. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Okay, any questions here as we proceed? None? Okay. So then, would somebody like to continue reading?
Yeah, I can read the chance.
Haji.
Yeah. That the teaching has to just a second. That the teaching has to come from a teacher in the form of a dialogue is because it is something to be understood, something to be followed, not swallowed. In a belief, there is nothing to follow, only something to swallow, something to accept totally, without question. Any questioning that may take place is meant only to establish what the belief is, which is not really questioning at all. This is why there are so many attempts to establish historical proofs that a certain person existed. Whether someone existed or not is not the issue. The teaching is the issue. Therefore, if you look into the teaching, if you are interested in what is being taught, your whole attitude and approach will be different. Here, a dialogue implies a teaching that is received from a teacher, meaning that this knowledge has to be received from a teacher and the subject matter has to be understood.
Okay. Any questions here? Something we've, I think, looked at before. So we can proceed.
Two types of subject matter. There are two types of subject matter, sad- sadhya vishaya and siddha vishaya. Sadhya is that which is yet to be accomplished and is accomplished by doing something, by an action. If you want to know how to go to heaven, for example, first you have to know what heaven is, and then you have to decide to buy a ticket. You are that you are told that punya, the ticket for heaven, can be gained by doing good deeds. You must also hold on to the punya you have earned, which means that you must not do any improper actions, papa, while you are earning your ticket to heaven. Only then will you go to heaven after death. All this is very straightforward for a person who has Shraddha in the Vedas, being a pramana, and is not something that can be logically arrived at. Any question related to sadhya is only to understand how to do something like cooking, for example. An Indian woman who wants to know how to make pizza will ask certain questions. The situation is very simple. You just tell her how to do it a few times until she knows how and the topic is over. It is just a matter of whether she has understood what you have said. There is an order governing how everything is to be done. Certain elements are involved and therefore must be understood. What has to be done is also to be understood, and that's the end of it. One may do it or not do it. By practice, one eventually acquires the knack of it. If a person keeps on making pizza, hopefully with some sympathetic people around, he or she will certainly master the art of pizza making. This is sadhya then. There is no questioning here. When the subject matter is something you have to accomplish later, when it is dealing with means and ends, sadhana and sadhya, proper questioning is not a part of the whole approach. This is true even if the subject matter is Vedic ritual. Again, when it comes to actions, there are many choices available. You can do it this way or that way. You need not do it at all. Or you can do something else entirely and achieve the same result.
Okay. Questions here? So essentially, it's giving us a sense of the difference between uh, any Laukika karma that we do in life and also the Vedika karma. They're both having this sadhana, sadhya, what do you call it, relationship, sambandha is there. I do something, there's a result. I do something else, there's another result. And I keep doing and more results accrue. So, even when you talk about a karma, you're following a set of instructions. Okay, now this is the ahuti offer, this is the deva you invoke, etc. And so, there is not much to understand over there. One can still do it and get the results even if one doesn't understand. Today, if a person is doing a certain Vedic karma, you do a great yajna, you may not understand how that result comes, but it still comes. So there's no need for this pariprashna in the karma kanda. But when it comes to Vedanta, the subject matter over here is the siddha vishaya. It is the thing which is, it is you. The siddha here is also in a manner of speaking, because it is not that you have accomplished yourself at some point. You are who you are, and that has always been the case. It is not any different. But here it says siddha vishaya because it is siddha in quotes, that the thing that is already gained. And that's why there's another expression in Shastra which indicates the same thing, which is called praptasya prapti. Everything else is called apraptasya prapti. Some of you all may have looked at this in our earlier sessions. Apraptasya means that which has not been gained, which somehow we have to gain. And praptasya prapti means that which is already gained needs to be gained. Again, it's not a contradiction, because if there's a contradiction, it's here. It's not there. It's not in the Vedas. But the thing, it is very easy to see. Okay, this. Suppose I want to get a toy, then I need to acquire it, and so then I get it, and now it is apraptasya prapti. I didn't have it before. I have it now, and it is gained. But that which I am has always been the case, because that is what I am, and that has always been what I am. But now the knowledge of who I am is unknown, because I take myself to be what I am not. If I take myself to be what I am not, that avidya of my, let's call it, wrongful identification has to be eliminated. But that neti neti is not enough, na? Okay, I am not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the senses, I'm not this, I'm not that. Okay, you do all of that, but what are you left with? A vacuum. And then what will that vacuum get filled with? Some activism, some sorts of nonsense will fill that space, because that void is there and that void has to be filled. So ultimately, the way to moksha is jnana alone, atma jnana here, and that jnana comes through the sarvatma buddhi, the knowledge that I am that which is the self of all. The sarvatma buddhi is what is mukti alone. There is no other mukti other than sarvatma buddhi. But for the sarvatma buddhi to take place, I am not gaining something new over here. It is a recognition of oneself as oneself, and it is easier said than done, because it takes a lot of contemplation. There's nothing to do over here, but it is something that it is avidya nivritti. The avidya has to be exterminated, and it is a slow process, because the clarity of oneself takes place in incremental, gradual steps. Not because there is a certain order of steps to follow, but it is a gradual process. This is also not the right word. There's a gradual process involved. Like as we mentioned before once, that Puji Swamiji calls the rising of knowledge as the rising of the sun. It slowly rises above the, but there is not one instant when you can say that, yeah, this has happened. Right? It's a gradual process. So that is what you call Siddha Vishaya. That I am the Siddha Vishaya, and that is what I have to gain, because I'm already gained. Any questions here? Okay. Let's see. I think this we did. It's more than one way to go to heaven. There are 100 different ways, one of which one can choose. Huh. So again, even this thing about going to Swarga, it is part of apraptasya prapti, or sadhana related topic, that I need to do some sadhana to go to Swarga. I think, anyone familiar with the story of Tishanku in the Ramayana? He also had to, do some sadhana, and he had to do some karmas, yajna, to ascend to Swarga, and then he was rejected. No entry. He didn't have the right visa, I suppose. So then Indra Devata sends him back tumbling. But then Vishwamitra, who was the pujari, the one who performed the ritual. Pujari is also not the right word, but the one who does the Vedic ritual is a different word. The Ritvik, or different words are there depending on what kind of priest is also not the right word. Sometimes here, if you come to the US, then they have this priest room, or only priests allowed beyond this point. You don't do priest business. There are specific words here also used. So again, looseness of terms. But anyway, so Vishwamitra was the one who performed the yajna on behalf of Tashanku, and he had promised him that when I do this, you are 100% going to go to Swarga, because we'll do a very nice job together. So then when he got pushed out of Swarga, and then he fell, there's this antariksha, some dimension between. And so Vishwamitra created a pocket dimension, like a parallel tangent dimension somewhere, which was supposed to be even grander than Swarga. And that's where Trishanku was caught in between before he fell to Prithvi Loka. Anyway, so one can do all of these things. They are there in the Shastra. Somewhere I don't remember, but someone once mentioned that the Vedas also hint at different dimensions, which obviously we know through the different lokas, Sapta lokas. In fact, 14 lokas are there. Pujya Swamiji calls it 7 up, 7 down. But this up and down is not really a direction, no, because up and down are again relative. Because if you see planet Earth, if you're in the North Pole, then up is like this, and if you're at the South Pole, then up is like this. Because up and down are very, I guess, geocentric. There's no up and down with respect to space. So these up, matlab, they are urdhva gati, which is that they are realms of greater degrees of pleasure. And then the down dimensions are like the realms where there's greater degrees of suffering. That's the convention that's used. That is also related to karma only, and it's not something that we trouble ourselves too much with. Okay. Uh, uh, Anyone would like to read this? No choice in knowledge.
I can read.
Sure, go ahead. Ji.
No choice in knowledge. There is no choice involved, however, when what is to be accomplished is already accomplished, siddha but not understood. Unlike action, knowledge is not open to choice. It is always true to its object. For example, knowledge of an apple is always true to the object, apple, even if I will even if I will it to be otherwise. Nor do I have a choice in knowledge. Once the means of knowledge and the object of knowledge are aligned, nor do I have a choice in knowledge once the means of knowledge and the object of knowledge are aligned. If my eyes are open, and if they are not defective, and if the mind is not elsewhere, I will necessarily see what is in front of me. What choice do I have? To know an already accomplished fact requires proper questioning in order to remove whatever that may be blocking the knowledge from taking place. Why should you be denied the knowledge of yourself once it is unfolded? What exactly is the obstruction? Is it that you do not follow what is being said? Once the obstructions have been identified, they have to be removed one by one because you are Brahman. The whole pursuit then is one of removing all doubts. Because this is the knowledge of an already accomplished fact, the knowledge has to be immediate, it cannot be indirect. If it does not happen in spite of the teaching, then there is some obstruction, which is in the form of error, vagueness, or doubt. The obstructions are removed in the dialogue between the teacher and the student.
Very good. Any questions here? So this is uh, what is it called? Purusha Tantram versus Vastu Tantram. We had spoken about this. I'm glad that we had such a nice long introduction earlier to all of these topics, because now we'll be able to speed through them quickly because we've covered so much ground material. So again, just to give you a bit of recap, when we talk about Purusha Tantra, it is something that's contingent upon my action. I need to do something in order to gain something. Right? There's a karma involved, and there's a result involved. You have sadhya, you have sadhana, and you have sadhya. But when it comes to knowledge, like suppose you look at this toy, and it's orange. One cannot look upon it and wish it to be blue. It is what it is. It is exactly what it is. One cannot change its nature, because the moment the organs of knowledge, which are in this case the eyes, which are the operating pramanas, and the object of knowledge, which is this thing called Charmander, apparently, and the these the sub the knowledge of this thing takes place. It's spontaneous. But when it comes to action, something has to be done. In knowledge, there is no action involved. This is very important. Some people say, "Oh, I need to do so much to gain knowledge." Nothing. One doesn't have to do anything to gain knowledge. Then the question is that if one has to do nothing to gain knowledge, why doesn't knowledge take place? So this is an open question I'm throwing out to the group. Uh, if somebody would like to take a stab, if knowledge does not require action, then why does it not take place spontaneously? Why doesn't self knowledge just happen to us as it should right now?
Um, is it we have, because of our sense of identification with things that are not self, or or rather than so basically, although the knowledge is present, we don't recognize it. So could that be the
That's one way to look at it, which is ultimately it boils down to avidya. So what you're saying is correct, that it ultimately boils down to avidya. And the avidya is that non-recognition of myself, which leads to recognizing myself to be what I'm not. Ulta, all misapprehensions take place. But now, suppose one has been exposed to the Mahavakya by the Guru, Tattvamasi Mahavakya, the whole teaching is unfolded. Then one should emerge a jnani, because now one cannot say that, oh, no, just I don't. Now you understand. Now it's clear. Now it's evident. Then what is getting in the way? Why is mukti still something that appears distant to us? Though it is not, but why does it appear distant to us? It appears distant because there is a lack of preparedness of the antakarana. And that part requires action. To prepare the antakarana, uh, things need to be done. What needs to be done? Karma. What kind of karma? The right kind of karmas, punya karmas, dharmic karmas. With what attitude? With the attitude of karma yoga. I can't do 1,000 agnihotra karmas and expect that this is going to work out because I desire swarga. I can't do a putra kameshti yajna. It's all going to work out for me because I desire a child. These karmas are all important to live a healthy and prosperous life, no doubt about it. But when it comes to jnana, there's a special state of the mind that needs to be reached, which is antakarana shuddhi. The shuddhi of the antakarana is needed. And antakarana shuddhi is only gained through living a life of karma yoga. So therefore, it is not that actions don't have a place at all in Vedanta. Actions clear the paths to Vedanta. But Vedanta is purely self-knowledge. Vedanta is self-knowledge. Make no mistake about that. There is no action involved when it comes to jnana taking place. But it is almost like, how shall we say? Suppose you have a bright shining sun outside, and you have this blocked window, or let's say not even a blocked window, but let's say there is a window where there's a curtain. Now, for the light to enter, I cannot say that the curtain is actually blocking the light, because it's not. The light is there. But the what it is doing is that the pramata, prameya, and pramana, there a sort of a dichotomy is created. Apparent dichotomy. It's not real, but it's apparent. But now I need to walk over to the window and I need to draw the curtains. That's an action. But then light hits my face and I spontaneously see the sun. I don't need to act to see the sun. There's no action involved in that. Knowledge takes place. Knowledge that there is a sun takes place. But the opening of the curtain, the drawing of the curtain, is the equivalent of karma yoga or actions that are required with the right attitude to gain antakarana shuddhi. Those are the obstructions. Here, the obstruction is the curtain. When those obstructions, which is in the form of those impurities of the mind, are removed through the right set of values, through the right attitude, and so on and so forth, then knowledge occurs spontaneously. Because knowledge is actually already present when the Mahavakya Upadesh happens. It's already present, but it's obstructed. It doesn't manifest clearly. It has blockers along the way. So that is what we refer to as Antakarana Shuddhi. Okay. Any questions here? Very important topic. And knowledge cannot
Wh-
be. Sorry, go ahead, Aparna.
what is this no choice? The significance of that no choice here.
In knowledge, if suppose okay, what is this?
Pen.
It's a pen. Did you have any choice to determine what it was?
No.
There was no choice. Because it is a pen, it cannot be anything other than a pen. You could not have called it a ball. Then knowledge, there is no choice because knowledge is that which is true to the object. This is the definition, a very important definition. Knowledge is that which is true to the object. Suppose you look at this, you have no choice but to call it a book. You cannot call it anything else. You cannot wish for it to be anything else.
Yeah.
You can eat dosa for dinner, you can eat idli for dinner. You can wish to eat something different because that's a choice, because you're eating, it's an action. But you can't say the dosa is idli and the idli is dosa because that is knowledge. Identifying it as its swarupa, the swarupa of idli is the swarupa of idli only. So same way the swarupa of the self is the swarupa of the self. There's no two ways to look at it. There's only one way to know it. There is no two, or there are no more ways of knowing oneself other than the way to know oneself. And you raised a very critical question, because this is where a lot of people feel disrespected. Because when one says that this is the only way to gain knowledge, somehow they take it as an assault upon their self, because it's happening. There's an ongoing conversation happening on the side, social media. One person is basically saying that, look, it is so elitist for these Vedanta people to say that moksha can only be attained through Shruti Vachanam. I believe, person says, I don't say, I believe that even through deep dhyana and arriving at the state of samadhi, that is sufficient for moksha. Why do you say that the Guru Vachanam alone is sufficient for, or is required, necessary condition for that? This is an idiotic way to think, really, because there is only one way to know the self. There's no two ways to know the self. And suppose I say that I enter, and this is why I many times address this topic of samadhi, because this yoga sort of conditioning can really mess with one's understanding of Vedanta. Samadhi is a state of the mind. It is a very peaceful state. It is a very desirable state. Who doesn't want samadhi? Everybody wants samadhi. It's a nice thing to have, because you'll be so focused and you'll be able to concentrate, and your mantras will just flow, and you'll be drowning in sattva vritti. Sattva vritti. You're just unadulterated peace. Okay, that's wonderful. But then you come out of it sometime, no? And then you're back to your day-to-day problems, and you're back with job related issues and this and that, and life goes on. It is not the end of it. Moksha only happens when sarvatma buddhi is firm. Dhrada nishtha in one's own swarupa is moksha. So therefore, that is why Pujya Swamiji says there is no choice in world. A pen is only a pen, and Atma is only Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. I can't want the Atma to be something else. that I don't feel like being Satyam. It sounds very boring to me. I want to be something else. Arey bhai, then you go do something else with life. Don't study Vedanta. Vedanta is here only to give one objective facts about oneself. It is not here to massage one's desire to be something or to be something other than what one is. To reveal. Just as I look into a mirror, I can't. I'm not the wicked queen in Snow White. I can't look into the mirror and expect my face to be any different. The mirror is going to reveal what I am. Vedanta is going to reveal who I am. I better like it. I better like it because it is who I am. So this is why there is no choice involved because it is a fact. And if facts, as people often say these days, my facts don't care about your feelings. Facts are facts. There are feelings involved in every choice in life, but not in terms of altering a fact. So that is why there's no choice. And see, Pujya Swamiji he used a certain choice to even speak about choice. There's a certain choice involved, and that shows you that he's a very good teacher because he knows that these are very key areas. Because you see, one word can reveal so much meaning and so much pedagogy is unfolded. As a teacher, you are a teacher. You know how important pedagogy is. Today, what makes a teacher good is not the textbook that they use, but the way that they teach. You can have the greatest textbook in the world, and you can have the dumbest teacher, and still the student will not succeed. Or you could have a, under average, low quality textbook, and the teacher can still make the content beautiful. And here you have the Vedas, which are so profound, and then you have the great teacher who's a Mahatma. What else could you want? A perfect marriage of teacher and taught. Just brilliant. Brilliant. There is no choice involved in knowledge. Amazing. If there's one takeaway from this, it's this. There's no choice involved in knowledge. Okay, and one more thing, right? There cannot be any vagueness or doubt, which means that, the Pujya Swamiji says this Vedanta can't be like a pajama. He says, pajama Hindus, he uses a certain term, that kuch bhi chalta hai, everything goes. I can understand it this way also, I can understand it that way also. No, pajamas are very loose. There's no one standard size. No, everybody fits into a pajama. You go to somebody's place overnight and they'll lend you their pajamas because everybody fits into it. There's no tailored size, because it's supposed to be loose so that you're comfortable at night. But in Vedanta, there's no pajama chap Hindus over here. Everybody is supposed to, understand it exactly as it is to be understood. In relation to who I am. Self knowledge has to be clean, it has to be crisp, it has to be clear, and it has to be without any doubt whatsoever. And this is the guru's job. The guru's job is to ensure that the student doesn't have any doubts about the self. But then the student also has a job, no? Which is to ensure that if I have a doubt, I ask the guru. Very important. So how can this happen without a guru? It can't happen. You recently also I was asking my guru some questions. These questions happen. To be a teacher means you know the whole content. There's no vagueness in the teacher's mind, vagueness in our mind. Significance of questioning. If you'd like to continue with this.
Sure. Significance of questioning, where there is understanding involved, questioning is imperative. This does not mean that you should question all the time. What is meant is that a questioning mind is necessary because without questioning, you can never gain clarity. Therefore, the teaching itself consists of a number of questions. As teachers, we ourselves raise questions and keep answering them. If the student still has questions, he or she should ask those questions in order to know, since we are not dealing with simple belief here. And if we find that something is a belief, we can say this is a belief, thereby ending the matter. We do not try to establish a belief beyond establishing that it is a belief. For example, the statement, "This is my mother," is a belief because there is no way of proving it. How do you know two babies were not switched? There may be a lot of corroborative evidence, but still it is a belief. It is not direct perception. There are many beliefs and there is nothing wrong with beliefs as long as we understand them as beliefs. However, there are also many things we have to know, and where we have to know, questions are very important and are allowed. The Gita was presented as a dialogue between a teacher and a student to emphasize that the subject matter is one for understanding, not for believing.
Hmm. Any questions over here? Yeah. So question is imperative. That is one point. And the second thing is that, see, everything that we do in life, not everything, but many things that we do in life are on the basis of Shraddha only. Today, if I know this person, um, from college days really, and she used to work in San Francisco. Um, Very smart person, but something happened. I don't know what exactly it was. So some psychological imbalance, and she just went sort of off the charts crazy. Every day she would come from work and she would think that her employers have assigned spies all over her neighborhood to track her down, or her roommates are also spies. The landlord is also a spy. There are spies who are across the street from her. Everybody was a spy. She thought that the employer had basically just paid everybody in her world to keep doing this. Has anyone watched this? What is that movie? Goodness, that Jim Carrey movie where Truman, no? Truman's World or something. I forget what it's called. But anyway, the premise of that movie is that his whole life is actually a TV show. And if somebody can look it up, let me know because I forgot the name. But Jim Carrey is in this film. Uh, he's living a very normal suburban American life, but the whole um, world environment that he finds himself in is actually a TV show that is aired for everybody, and everyone in that TV show is aware that they are actors except for him. He's the only true biographical character, and everybody else is just a stage, like planted there as an actor to make him believe that this is a real thing, right? The Truman Show. That's right. Yeah, Truman Show. So this female actually friend of mine, she actually thought that this is a conspiracy by her employer, and she's sort of living in this make believe world where everybody's looking out for her, or not looking out for her, but everybody's tracking her and spying on her, and that is a psychological issue because it is complete ashraddha. It is complete ashraddha in humanity altogether. You don't trust your friends, you don't trust your employers, you don't trust the baker down the street. Nobody. But now the question that I would ask is it possible that she's right? What would you say? Is there a possibility that she's right? It's possible. Is it likely? No. It's highly unlikely, but it is possible. What you have to say is it is possible, but it is extremely improbable. Improbable, but possible. And there are things which are probable and possible. And then, of course, if it's impossible, it is also improbable because there the probability becomes zero, right? That's so. In this case, now just think about it. We cannot dismiss that girl's concerns as being 100% certain that they are false. You can't say that. You can say that I'm 99.999999% sure that you need to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You can't say I'm 100% sure because it's possible. Only person who doesn't know that this is a TV show that's going on. It's possible. It's very much possible. It's just not probable. So this is why, we live our life with a lot of beliefs. And these beliefs in people that, tomorrow, is it possible that your family member will not poison your food? It's possible. It's just extremely improbable. Okay. So we live our life with a lot of shraddha. We have Shraddha when we cross the street that maybe the other car will slow down a little bit. He's not going to speed up. Some people might. It's not impossible, but it's very improbable that if a child is playing on the street, somebody is deliberately going to go over that child. It's very improbable. So we don't live life walking on eggshells. And the more one is able to trust others, the more relatively free one is. Really, trust issues are the problem. That girl had trust issues. So just to I asked her to consult a psychologist that I knew, and she went, and the psychologist said, "Yeah, this is too big for me also to handle. We need to get medication involved." So then it was a case for the psychiatrist and things like that. So the point being that in Vedanta now, coming back to the topic, there is no reason to say I believe what is said is true. Okay, you may start off with that basic Shraddha, but that Shraddha culminates in Jnana. One cannot live in Shraddha forever as a student of Vedanta. That, oh, my teacher said I am Satchidananda Atma. Okay, I don't get it really, but I accept it. I accept it because it's true and I'm good with it. Chalo, let's move on to the next thing in life. No, because first the Shraddha opens the doors for me to approach the teacher to say, please teach me. The teacher teaches me. The exchange of dialogue has taken place. Now my Shraddha has been validated. Okay, somebody comes and gives you food. First day you may think, "Arey, what if this is poison?" Second day you're alive. Third day you're alive. After 20 years you're still alive. It would be very foolish for you to say on your 21st year that, you know what, this food might be poison. Very foolish. So once that credibility has been built with the teacher, you know what the teacher is saying is true, it starts to work. The knowledge works when the Shraddha is validated through my constant exposure to the teaching. That's it. The Shraddha is validated through that exposure, and then that Shraddha culminates in what you call knowledge. Because that Shraddha alone opens the doors to that conversation or the dialogue to take place. But this is not a matter of belief. That's why Puja Swami says you can't end your journey in Shraddha. It has to end in Jnana only. Any questions here? Okay. So then I know we've covered some material. I also promised that I will send you all the Gita PDF, which I know I haven't. So here's what I want you all to do. I've sent you a link in the chat right now. I hope it goes across. Tell me if it came across, because sometimes it blocks the messages. Okay, it went through, right? Okay, good. So this is the Gita that we are using, and we are currently on page 47. I think it would be a good protocol for us to read 5 pages every week by ourselves, and then it will speed up some of the discussions also. And then I can of course share some of my commentaries on it as we proceed. But what this will allow you to do is that if sometimes when we're reading, it may not be very evident to ask a question, but this will give some more time to reflect. And if there's a question, you can be ready with it when we have the um, satsanga. So should we proceed, or do you feel it's good enough for today? Anyone? Someone?
No, we
Okay.
start next week.
Next week? Okay, let's do it next week then. This, all right, so we'll close off on Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. And yeah, thank you all for joining on time today. This was fantastic. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.